You don't have to be born here to be rooted here. You came, and now you are part of this whole Dixie story. We think about all the people moving here. They can become just as much a part of this community as anyone. You've proven that.
Once I lived in Cottonwood and owned a little farm. When they called me down to Dixie, it caused me much alarm. To hoe the cane and cotton, I right away must go. But the reason why they sent me, I'm sure I do not know.
Welcome to Not Forgotten, a podcast brought to you by the Doc Booth Foundation and hosted by noted writer Lyman, who has chronicled the stories, culture, and character of Utah's Dixie for more than 40 years.
It's a great summer day in Utah's Dixie, made even greater by the fact that Ricky and I are joined in the studio today by three of the most wonderful people that I can think of. And it's so great. Today we're going to talk about the Pizza Factory. Now, in my mind, the Pizza Factory is synonymous with the Dixie spirit. But what has made that all possible is these three people, as well as others that we'll talk about today. And we're just honored to have Bill Randall, one of your amazing employees, waitress Jannita Bowler Mitchell. I remember Jannita as Jannita Bowler from way back when she was a little girl. I knew her parents. I have the fondest memories of those days. And Dennis Leavitt, one of the great men in southern Utah who's involved in so many amazing things right now, and hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit about some of those as well. Dennis, who as a teenager became an employee at Pizza Factory. But let's just dive right in. Bill, can you just tell us, how is it that we have the Pizza Factory in St. George?
I went to Southern Utah State College, now Southern Utah University. Met a wonderful girl and didn't ever want to leave this area. I didn't want to go. I came to school from Las Vegas, and I just fell in love with Southern Utah and wanted to stay and had to find something to keep me here. And when I was in college at SUSC at the time, I worked at Pizza Factory in the evenings and really fell in love with the restaurant business. The social part of the business, because you get to see good people every day and get to know people. And so my partner in Cedar City, who I worked for, dear friend, Bill Kringlin, he wanted me to stay and help run the store. And I said, if we do that, we're going to have to open another store. We need to have more than one store. I think we should go to St. George and open a store. And he just said, if that works out, yeah, you can go down there. I didn't particularly want to leave Cedar City, but I just thought it was a great opportunity it would be to come to St. George. And I always had it in my mind that St. George had so many things going on that it was just going to boom. And we've seen that. In 1979, after being married just 1 year to my sweetheart, Jan Brown, from Cedar City, we moved down here to open the store. We loaded all our stuff in the back of her cousin's horse trailer, came down here and got a little place down here and just went to work. And I promised Bill Kringlin at the time that I'd do whatever it took to make the place successful. I just said, hey, if I've got to be there day and night, I'll be there. And that wasn't hard for me because I liked it. And I don't know if I was smart enough or not, but I decided the first thing that I should do is hire some kids from the community that were from really good families and were really good people in the community. And so the core of the kids from the beginning, Lisa Newby Peterson, Gretchen Graff, Glendenning, Dina Hafen-Watcott. These were great girls. Not only were they great, they were really outgoing and beautiful girls. And I was pretty convinced that if I had a core of beautiful girls, all the boys would want to work and or come in and eat. And they would bring their families in. And that's where we started.
It's awesome. And 46 years later, you're still there all day.
Yeah, I like to be there.
It's amazing. When I go to the Pizza Factory, first thing I do is look for Bill, and he's always there. I don't know if I've ever been there when you weren't there, Bill. It's an awesome thing for all of us in this area to be able to go to the Pizza Factory and to know exactly how we're going to feel when we walk in there and to know exactly how great it's going to taste and how wonderfully we're going to be served and all of those things that are still the same 46 years later. Did you originally open where you are now?
Yeah, I did. I took quite a few trips down here and looked around. And on one trip, Brooks Pace had just started Ancestor Square. And I went by and it just felt right. And credit to Brooks Pace for having the foresight to build a great little center down there. And they took some iconic original structures and kept them, but then he built the rest to look from that period. The adobe bricks that are up there were made on site. They made those bricks. And so it just felt like that's where we should be.
And it's interesting to think that on that very corner was the old Big Hand Cafe, which was an institution in itself. And now the Pizza Factory has become an institution maybe even longer running than even that original Big Hand Cafe. And then just down the street, Dick's Cafe.
Yeah, it was there.
You think about the restaurant heritage in St. George and the places where people congregated where they want, that place where you could go and everybody knows your name. You walk in, the old Dick's Cafe had that for 30, 40, maybe more years. But now the Pizza Factory has taken that place in our community, at least in my mind. I know there are lots of great places to eat and lots of places with a lot of history, but there's something about the Pizza Factory that is really special. And I think that's what we want to get at today. And we've got Jannita here. It's so great to have you here. Tell us your Pizza Factory experience.
So I have worked at the Pizza Factory off and on for 40 years. I first met Bill Randall when I was in probably junior high school, and we were in the same ward when I was young. So that's when I first met Bill. And he used to tease me all the time that nobody my age should have legs that look like that.
You're not supposed to tell that story.
And then I started working on the corner of, what is the road you take to go down to Green Valley View? On the corner of Valley View, was it called the Stop and Shop? No, maybe. The gas station that was right there was called Minute Mark.
Yeah, Minute Mark.
Yes. And I worked there for a little while, not too long. And Bill would come in all the time and stop in, like when he was going to work or coming home and see me. And we were still in the same ward. And I'll never forget that one day he said, "You need to come to work for me. You need to come to the Pizza Factory. You need to come fill out an application and come to work for me." So I did. I marched my little self right down there and I filled out an application and I have worked there ever since, off and on.
And you, Jannita, are part of what I was expressing about walking in there and seeing you and knowing that you're going to be greeted in such a friendly and warm way, that you're going to be served so well, and that you're in a place where you just feel comfortable and happy.
It's my home. It's my second home for sure. It has been.
You've made that. You and Sam.
We can't forget Sandra.
Sam.
And we wish that Sandra were here today.
Yeah, given.
We call her Sam, and she can't be with us today, or we'd have had her here as well. But with Jannita and Sam, that 1-2 punch as you come in, and I wonder which one is going to take care of me today. Whichever one it is, it's going to be great.
I'll just say real quick, not that I made Sam and Jannita promise me that they would stay there as long as I was there. And you know what? Bless Jannita's heart, she's still there, and I sure wish Sam was. But Sam's a grandma and wants to be with her grandkids all the time. And I said, you can come in and work a half a day any day you want.
But Sam started with you
barely after we opened. Yeah.
She's been there right up until
about a year ago or so.
And again, it's that continuity, it's that loyalty, it's that feeling of what to expect when you walk in there, because it's always there and it's always awesome. And Jannita, we're going to come back to you because I want you to share some stories, but let's talk to Dennis. You go way, way back to that tradition of teenage boys starting out at the Pizza Factory and then going out in the world and doing great things?
Just smart enough to know that Bill Randall hired people I'd want to work around, if that makes sense. But I was young. My first time when I walked in the Pizza Factory, my mom walked me in because I was going to interview for my very first job, right? And I was small enough and lacked confident enough to just have her make sure she walked me there. She didn't stay for the whole interview, but somehow I made it through. I always claimed to be employee number 7. I don't know if I could prove that, but I know early on.
You're pretty early.
It was just as shop was setting up, and it was one of the most fortunate days of my life, actually, to have landed somewhere by pure luck. I lived around the corner on 55 North, 100 West, and so it was within walking distance for me. Therefore, it felt like a new opportunity, and again, kind enough to land the job, and had no idea now at this stage of my life what foundational role the Pizza Factory would play and what foundational role Bill would play in our lives.
Talk about some of that foundation that you got there.
I first learned how to work hard and be nice to people. It didn't come naturally necessarily in some ways. Bill recalls some things that I did, behind the scenes as a teenage boy that he wishes his employees wouldn't do. But I got a good talking to and some mentoring. To summarize it, I asked Bill to be the best man at my wedding. It's not frequent, I think, that a young teenager would have that kind of experience with a boss and a mentor that would move me that much. I attribute the worst decision of my life to the time when Bill invited me to give a part of my paycheck to him, and that could become part of ownership in the Pizza Factory maybe one day. And I had dreams about going to college and not knowing what I would do necessarily. That's as dumb a decision as I've ever made in my entire life, to think that I needed a few extra dollars every paycheck so I could maybe go on a date or put some gas in my car, knowing that 46 years later, who knows what that would have looked like.
He's done great. Yeah, he's done great.
We know that.
But we've given our heart and soul to the Pizza Factory. We just love it in every way, and certainly cheer them on any time and any chance we get. But it was, just a foundational time to work in a fun environment where I knew I had to work hard. I knew what the standards were. I knew what the expectations were. Like I said, didn't always live up to them, but you knew that if you worked here, you cleaned up after yourself. The place was always left in better condition than we found it when we came to work, that we gave the best food possible, the best service possible. And so from dishwasher to the best pizza maker Bill's ever had, to waiter.
He's done it all. He started in the dish pit, so he's done it all.
Dennis's story, Bill, has been repeated by a lot of young men in this community. Tell us more about that, how boys have started out working at the Pizza Factory and gone on.
We've got a lot of successes. We've had maybe some sad failures as well, but I think good breeds good. If you have good people working for you, it attracts good people. They learn it the right way, and it just makes it a better environment altogether. And we've had some great people in the community's kids work for us. When I moved here, I thought Dr. Booth ran the town. I thought he ran the hospital. I thought he ran the church. I thought he ran the town. And Carl Brooks, two of my big heroes. And their kids all work for me. And some great Larkin kids and just pillars in the community. And it's been fun. That's why I'm still there. Somebody told me once that if you loved what you're doing, you'd never work a day in your life. And I don't feel like I've worked that many days of my life.
You've sure put in a lot of hours, though.
Oh, a few, yeah.
Whether you call it work or not. I wondered, Bill, if you could talk about, so you grew up in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I spent about 6-7 years there. I'm from Idaho originally. Okay. Moved to Vegas when I was about 13 and stayed there through my first year of college. And I just decided I had to get out.
Talk about coming from those places and then Cedar and SUU and then coming to St. George and being an outsider, but then becoming part of this whole institution of our community.
I just felt like when both Cedar City and St. George, especially coming down here as a newly married guy, and I just felt like the people were so good and so genuine and so just giving and loving, and that's why I never wanted to leave. I graduated from college and told my mom that I was going to move to St. George and open a pizza restaurant. And she wasn't real happy with that. She thought, you'd gone to college, you should be putting on a shirt and tie and moving to a city and going to work. And that's not me. Funny side note is I still have it somewhere, packed away somewhere. But when I graduated from college, she gave me like an apron, just traditional red and white check Italian tablecloth type of apron with the wording put on it. She put, "For this, I spent 4 years in college," with a question mark. Later on, after she retired, she moved here. She loved it here. She loved that she could just call me up and have anything ready to go at the window. And most every day she'd stop by for a nice Coke. So it's just, this is a great community.
It's there, that story of you don't have to be born here to be rooted here. And you came at that point in your life, and now you are part of this whole Dixie story. And that's one of the things that I think is awesome, especially as we think about all the people moving here. They're coming from somewhere else, but they can become just as much a part of this community as anyone. You've proven that. And I think it's interesting when I first started going to the pizza factories, when we started St. George Magazine in 1983. So you'd been in business 4 years at that time, and we were putting together some ads for you and doing some design and Roland Lee's design and all of that. And during the mid-'80s, I think I had lunch at the pizza factory at least 3 days a week. And those days, I went in there and I knew everyone in the restaurant. And it was the social experience every time you walked in. These days, I walk in and I know a few people, but then there's all these other awesome people that I don't know, but it's still a social experience. It's an awesome experience because I think that all of us old-timers, we still come back to the pizza factory for the same reasons. And then a new generation of people moving here are coming and getting to feel and sense that same kind of community feeling. I might be overstating this, but I just think that's awesome. And Jannita, you've seen that whole evolution through these 4 decades.
Yes, I have. And you nailed it. You really did, saying that about how back in the day you'd go in and you would know everybody. And it was a social event. And then now you go in and you hardly know anybody, and it's still a social event. The people that the Pizza Factory bring in are families and their children. And it's a wonderful thing. And that's why all the kids that come here now that go to college, the first place that they want to work or they go fill out an application is the Pizza Factory, because it's so well known for hiring really good kids. It's a good environment for your children to work in. And still to this day, I love going in there and just visiting with even the people that work there that I don't know because I haven't worked there for a little while. And there's all great kids coming from great families.
And that's what's so neat about this community is the people who are moving here, they're moving here because they want to and for the right reasons. And a lot of times they don't even know why. They learn maybe after they get here. But the Pizza Factory is just one of those places they can go and just really feel like they're part of this community.
I also think that a lot of the kids that come down here and go to school, they leave their families, they come down here and they're on their own for the first time. And we get a lot of cute kids that come in there that are going to college, and they find a family in the Pizza Factory while they're here. And friends. They make friends there that become friends forever.
Dennis, what are your thoughts about all this?
I agree with everything that's being said. Maybe the building itself is a testament of everything you're describing, right? Remember when the Pizza Factory was open, it was just in that main hub area.
Oh, do I remember?
And then all of a sudden it expands to the outside patio, remembering the bricks going down and that work being done to expand. And then upstairs, and now upstairs has got an addition on it. More and more people want to come. You have to accommodate more people, but you'd never want to leave that hub heart of the city. And so the Pizza Factory's just grown. The other thing that I think about as I sit here out of, again, pure respect and mutual love for, like we all have for Bill Randall. In the restaurant business, I think Bill's made some conscientious decisions because of his goodness that keep the magic alive in the Pizza Factory. And I don't mean to make this a religious thing, but imagine a restaurant in today's world that is committed to not being open on Sundays.
Or serving alcohol
I mean,
with pizza.
That's right. In today's world, you'd go, wait, that's the wrong thing. Your head would tell you you have to do it differently. But the goodness of a man's heart, who I think is just committed to saying, no, this is the way we do things here. And that's not anything against those who make other choices, whatever. It's just saying Bill made a decision, and he stood by his decision and continues to just,
Thrive.
as a result,
It
and have
worked.
everyone fall in love with the magic that we call the Pizza Factory.
That magic, I'm glad you used that word because I think that just really fits here. Where can you go 40 years later that's still basically the same? I know it changes and I know it gets better and I know it progresses, but it's still basically the same. The spirit, the place, the setting, the people. Where does that happen in this world now with everything changing so fast? And even being able to say hi to Jannita or to Sam after 4 decades, that's magic, I think, and it's special. But it really does all come back to Bill, and we didn't mean to turn this into a...
Yeah, please stop that.
Oh, no, we have plenty of stories we can tell you on the other side if you want.
I agree with Dennis on that, though.
I think that's really at the core of what we're getting at here is that the Pizza Factory represents something bigger, even bigger than what it is. And it ties to this whole Dixie spirit that is really special. And so, Bill, take us down another road now. So we're not just talking about how awesome you are.
Yeah, let's go down another road.
That's how hard it's been, what it's taken to retain what you started there.
I'd be really wrong if I didn't talk about my wife. She's been a big part of the store, and she does all our bookkeeping and all our human resource stuff, and she's behind the scenes. And she's the kind of person that if I'm wandering off track a little bit, maybe I'm upset at a customer or I'm upset at an employee, she can rein me in and get me to take a little deeper look at things. If somebody said that behind every successful man there's a astonished mother-in-law, you know what? I don't think I could have done near what I've done without her support, her just being totally committed and dedicated and raising the kids and doing all that kind of stuff. It's certainly been a commitment and it's certainly been a lot of work, but it certainly helps that I'm here and I'm around people that I love. And it helps that I like what I do. And so that's what gets me up and gets me going every day. I want to do it for a while longer. I'm committed. I want to be there for our 50th anniversary. I'm really lucky. I've got good people. Like, I don't know how many second generation people have working there now. And I want to have third generation before I go. Dennis's kids all work for me. And in fact, his daughter and son-in-law are my key people right now. I've let them have some interest in the store, let them buy.
So your kids invested, but you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. You raise smarter children than yourselves. Exactly. No, but yeah.
And I'm still hoping that someday that even my kids will want to participate. But if they don't, that's fine. When it's all said and done, I would like to see it continue.
And it sounds like you're setting it up for that,
I hope so.
for another 50 years, which is what all of us would pray for.
I really hope so. And I hope that the next ones that come and do it, I hope they love it as much as I have. So
That's awesome.
It's been a fun journey.
Bill and Jannita and Dennis, one of the things I was really looking forward to in sitting down with you is maybe just hearing some of the stories, some of the memories that you have from the days and the years that you've been at the Pizza Factory. Are there some things that stand out in your mind that you could share?
I say go for it.
How many times have I fired you?
And I've been fired a couple times. Yes, I have. But he could not live without me, and I always got to come back. I wasn't the easiest to get along with back in the day, but I've learned throughout the years I'm a lot easier to get along with now. Yes.
And I hinted the fact that I didn't always do everything I should as a teenage boy. There was a night when there was a birthday party planned at the Pizza Factory, and the mother brought a cake in, for this birthday celebration. At the end of the night, no one ever showed for the birthday party. So I just took it upon myself to think, if there's an extra cake available, certainly we've got to eat it. So I rallied all the troops around and got all the employees together and said, we're having cake tonight, guys. And so we downed that entire cake. Only the next day when something had come up with the family, so they came in looking for the cake.
They actually called.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. The lady said, we couldn't make it last night, but we're coming tonight and you still have the cake, right? And I said, what cake?
I think I got a call out of school.
I called Dennis and said, we got to fix this. And if my memory's correct, I think I told the lady, oh, you'll have a cake here tonight, for sure.
And Dennis Leavitt will be paying for the cake tonight, for sure.
And the rest of the crew will be buying your dinner.
That sounds like one of those bad dreams that you wake up from. Oh, no.
But again, it's just this great kind of value that the Pizza Factory teaches you, right? If you stole candy as a kid, your mom would walk you back into the store and make you tell the store owner and make you pay for it, right? And if you do something dumb as a teenage employee, then Bill Randall says, okay, we're going to take care of it the right way.
When people used to quit at the Pizza Factory, what did you guys pour on them when they would go out the back door?
We would somebody would stand on the roof, and
If it was their last day.
and they'd have 2 buckets up there, one of water and one of flour. And so as they'd go out from under the awning, they'd douse them with water and then dump a bucket of flour on top.
So I got it once.
We had to stop that. That got a little out of hand. I had to finally put my foot down.
No, that was fun. I remember seeing people get that many times.
Old Carl Brooks' son, Darren, he worked for us.
Yes.
He and I had a thing going on for years, and even after he didn't work there anymore. And it was just, Dennis helped me on it one time. That's the tailgate.
Oh, yeah.
Just this last night before he worked at Pizza Factory, before he went on his mission, I don't know what possessed him to do this, but he was delivering pizza, and he came back to Pizza Factory with a tailgate off an old Ford pickup. I don't know why he had that. And he left it just right outside our back door. And Travis Larkin, there's another great kid who's working that night. I said, Trav, what's that tailgate? And he said, Brooks brought it back off a delivery. And I said, why? And he goes, I don't know. And he goes, and of course, he just lived up the hill. So I just said, go up there and leave it at his house. We don't need it here. And that tripped a trigger or something. I don't know what happened, but it was just like, okay, great. So he took it up there, and then he leaves to go on his mission. And the little girls come to my house one night. It was right before Christmas. And they said, hey, there's some big metal thing on your porch with some Christmas decor on it. And I went out, and there's the tailgate. And he's with a note on it from him, Merry Christmas. He called me Sonny because I used to have a mustache. They thought I looked like Sonny Bono. And he said, Merry Christmas, Sonny. I'll see you in 2 years. And I'm going, what the heck? I'm not going to let him get the best of me. And so Dennis was working at the MTC in Provo, right?
Yep. And
I said, Dennis, is there any way that you could get this tailgate up and put it in his room? And he goes, sure, I can do that. And so I sent the tailgate up to the MTC in Provo with a little note on it about going on his mission. Sure enough, he leaves, and here a few days later, Claude Gubler came to my house and said, there's something on your front lawn. And it was the tailgate again. And he had stashed the tailgate in the bushes at the MTC and told Carl, when you go home, it's back in the day when you could go see your kids off on their mission at the Salt Lake Airport. And he said, you got to go and you got to pick this tailgate up and you got to go give it back to Bill. So here's the tailgate again. And this happened right before Christmas and right after Christmas.
Oh, my God.
And so right after we opened up again after January 1st, a young kid, I don't even remember his name, came in and applied for a job. And he said, I looked and I said, obviously you've been gone here for a couple of years. Were you on a mission? And he goes, yes, I went on a mission. Where'd you go on your mission? I went to Quebec, Canada, French speaking. A little thing goes off in my brain. Clink. I go, really? How well do you know the mission president there? Because that's where Darren went on his mission. He goes, oh, I know him really well. I was his assistant. I said, does he have a good sense of humor? And he goes, not particularly, but his wife sure does. And I go, do you have her phone number? So I called her up, told her the whole story, and she goes, send it on up. So I packed it up. I don't even know. It was almost couldn't go. I sent that thing to Quebec on his mission, and she put it in his chair at a mission meeting. I put a funny
my
note on
gosh.
it because he'd tell me how cold it was. And I said, it's warm in Dixie. Have a good mission. So then he told me there's no way I could keep that thing. There's no way. I just had to throw it in the dumpster in Quebec. And then he came back off his mission and went, I'm going to take my folks back to Canada to my mission and show them around. I'm great. And so he leaves, and a kid that's cleaning real early at the pizza factory calls me on my phone and says, hey, there's something hanging from a rope from the rafters here in the pizza factory. I go down, it's the tailgate. And I'm going, oh, Darren, Brooks, oh. I hid it away for a few years, and then he gets married. And I go to his brother, and I said, hey, do you know where he's staying on his honeymoon night? And he goes, yeah, he's staying down at the... He tells me the motel, and I go, okay, I know the lady at the front desk down there. So I go down, and I tell her, and she said, can I get a key to his room? Anyway, I went down and found a nightie and put it on the tailgate and put it in his honeymoon bed with a note saying, you are my first love, and leave it there.
Oh, that is great.
And so he goes, and I had plans. I knew he was going to, I thought for sure to be back at Pizza Factory the next day. And I got Travis Larkin, who had set up his whole honeymoon. He was a travel agent. Knew we were staying in Hawaii. I had him ready. I was going to go, he's going to go to Hawaii, and he's going to leave it here. And I'm going to send it to Hawaii and have him take it to his room with a fruit basket or something on it. But it disappeared. And so, like, his brother was working for us, too. And I asked him one day, I said, hey, by any chance you know where that tailgate is? And he goes, yeah. I go, where is it? And he goes, you know where our house is? Yeah, I've been up there. He said, we have a shed out back, right? And I go, yeah. He goes, right between the shed and the fence, it's shoved in there. So we snuck up there and got it. And then Darren opened a wellness center over by Zion someplace. He opened it, and he brought me in his card. He was all excited. Hey, here's the name of it. I got 2 kids that I knew that he wouldn't know. And I went to Ray at Yesco, and I had him give him, like, Yesco hats and a shirt. And they just had a truck, and he wouldn't know them. And they gave him, like, a Yesco order blank and stuff like that. And I went to a kid here and had him spray on the tailgate his new logo of his new wellness center. And he put it on the tailgate. And they go out there, and they said, we need to find Darren Brooks. And the lady said, oh, okay, I'll go find him. And he comes out and he goes, what can I do for you? And they said, we're here from Yesco, and we have your sign. And he said, what? He goes, no, we have your sign here. And he goes, I didn't order a sign. And they said, we've got the order, and here it is. Like, what are we supposed to do with it? Going, well, let me see. And he goes over and looks into their truck bed, and he just started laughing. And they just handed it to him, got their truck, and drove off. So he brought it into me a while ago. It's still been in hiding. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to figure out how to make that into a table and print the whole story of the tailgate
oh, my God.
on a plaque and let people read it, because
That's funny.
That's classic. Some of my other favorite memories, candidly, are things like Bill was kind enough to take us out on a houseboat to Lake Powell and just have some great parties. I remember we had a Pizza Factory basketball team. So it wasn't just what you did at work and then clocked out. It was, oh no, this is your family. We play together and we work together and we go do recreational things together. And so Pizza Factory basketball and volleyball teams and
Yes,
all of the celebrations.
Tell me how you do all that when you're open every day except Sunday and everybody's busy.
take turns. Do it at night after.
Do shifts and
Yeah, he used to take us. Very first time I ever went to Milt's, the steakhouse Milt's, Bill took us all and took us up to dinner more than what probably 2 or 3 times I went. He took skiing on Beaver Mountain Ski Resort. He took us up there
Brian
skiing a couple times. And so he had taken a bunch of us up there and we stayed the night and all went skiing. It was so fun. So yeah, he used to do lots of fun things with us.
Bill has an affinity towards a particular kind of music called good music. But Bill has some favorite music. They're still playing the same music at nights when you walk in the Pizza Factory that was playing in 79 and 80.
And during the day. And
There's no better music than 70s.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Bill. I'm with you all the way.
And in the morning when it's playing and I'm opening with Bill, me and Bill are the only ones that know the words to any of those songs.
Maybe that's part of what brings me back every time, is the music as well as everything else. I had never thought about it.
We had some great Christmas parties. Great Christmas parties.
Yes.
And Dennis's mom, Eloise, what a great lady. And she did I don't know how many Christmas parties she did, but she did multiple Christmas parties. She did all the food for us, everything. And we had some fun, crazy Christmas parties.
And Bill hired girls that I wanted to date. I usually got about 1 or 2 dates in with each of them before it kind of all fell apart. But your whole world revolved around that. And the life lessons were genuine and real, but just a fun place to work. Some of my latest memories, I don't even remember who was sick, but something happened, and my wife, Nicole, and I, we went down for maybe 3 weeks every night to clean.
Son-in-law tore up his leg.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And he was one of my main guys. So these guys came in and tried to do all his work so we could still keep him employed and everything.
But who wouldn't give everything to the Pizza Factory? Everyone knows in my family that at my funeral, no funeral potatoes, Pizza Factory Deluxe. It's a large Factory Deluxe. Everyone's getting one at my funeral, and it's my favorite food on all of planet Earth. If I could choose anything, I want a
Pizza Factory Deluxe.
I want a Factory Deluxe. That's it.
And eventually it all comes back to the food. That's the key right there. And it's always been that your menu, I don't think, has really changed that much over the years. You can correct me on that. I can still get the gobbler that I got in 1983.
You can.
And that's what I get because it's so good. And the salad bar is the best. It's widely known that it's the best salad bar in town. And all of that is so key to it as well.
Yeah, that's right. And that's all kind of quality control. How many Pizza Factory T-shirts do you think you've seen around town over the years? Literally, who doesn't own a Pizza Factory T-shirt? I don't know when that whole tradition started. It didn't feel like you could buy a T-shirt when I started.
No, it wasn't. I can't remember how early on that was, but we started thinking we need to have them for our workers, and if everybody else likes them, it's a great way to have somebody advertise us.
Yeah.
Max Rose, one of my biggest heroes, he used to tell me, you probably don't have one big enough for me. And I made sure that I'd have one big enough for him. And he said, he'd just say, I'm a billboard.
Yeah.
And that's part of it too, Bill, is the marketing and advertising. And yet, to most of us, it seems we know the Pizza Factory because it's the Pizza Factory, not because we heard an ad or saw an ad, but that it's just known that's where you can go and get good food. And there's a fine line between the advertising you need to do, but then also that just the quality experience that you provide. And then that goes viral even before the digital age. It went viral because people talked about it.
And how many people do you think have gone to Pizza Factory and talked to Bill and said, we need pizza for X event in town, or we run this little educational program? So who do I go to? I go to the Pizza Factory and say, hey, all the 5th graders in town need pizza for their awards program. And who delivers? Well, always Bill Randall in the Pizza Factory. I just can't even imagine how much service and how much you've given back to the community. So in terms of a happy place to hang out, service to the community, devoted to teaching employees the Pizza Factory's got all those components. And I don't know that it was ever thought out or strategized or intentional as much as it was just, I'm Bill Randall. That's how I live life.
He does that for everybody that walks in that door. The little kids that come in and it's their birthdays, okay? And they come there because Bill will make them a pizza of their age. So if you're 7, you get a 7. And they come back every year for that same pizza. Yeah. And then he also will give them a T-shirt for their birthday if they come in. Or he's got a heart of gold, and he would do anything for you. And he does that for all of his customers.
Yeah, you don't need an MBA to learn just to be a good human, and lots of good flows from that. Bill Randall exudes that in every way. Now it's turned into we ought to tell all the bad stories about it. Come on now.
If I've been there for 40 years and you all know me, he's got to be a good human. Because he put up with me for 40 years, and I don't think anybody else could have ever done that.
That's so great. I keep coming back to this, but there's something about the Pizza Factory and what it is and how it has become what it has become, and this whole sense of the Dixie spirit and what that means to all of us who really know what that is. And as Dennis was, it's a natural thing. It's not a strategized thing or we're going to be like this. It's just who we are. And the Pizza Factory is who you are. And it's really special. And I know there are lots of great places to eat.
There is.
We all know that. And we all appreciate all those great places to eat. However, the Pizza Factory is in its own orbit of something that 46 years later, you still go back there, you still have that same experience and that same feeling. And that brings me to, I know that you have regulars that have been there all through the years. Are there any of those that you could maybe share with us?
We've got, wow, yeah, I just came over here and I just left, and Gary Esplin and Steve Snow and Jeff Norton and Rod Orton and all these guys that are helped make this community what it is. They're all sitting at one table on one side of the room, and then you go down the other side of the room, it's a group of guys, and they're just those guys, but 30 years younger. So it's a fun thing. And that's what makes it so good for me, because just seeing these, they mentioned the number pizzas. We made a pizza for a lady when she was 100 and 101.
Yeah.
She came in for her 101st birthday. I was so sad that she didn't make her 102nd. That's such a fun thing.
You mentioned those men and women who have been really influential in the community over the years. It makes me wonder how many really important ideas and decisions and strategies have been considered at the tables in your restaurant.
I had somebody, I can't remember who it was, that just said, well, there's been a lot of deals done in your restaurant, and a lot of them are just written down on the back of a napkin. And that's wonderful. We like that they feel good enough to want to come in there and meet.
And so many of the regulars come from up north, too. We have so many that come down here for spring break, for Thanksgiving, for whatever holiday it is. They all come down and go straight to the Pizza Factory. And I got to give a shout out to a lot of them that come from down there, because we have a lot of regulars that come, and super nice people that love Bill and love the Pizza Factory. And they don't even live here.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
That's
That's the
for
case.
sure.
If you were to ever create a list of what are the adjectives that describe the Dixie spirit, you have to start with friendly, and you have to start with things like genuine and generous and kind. If you ever created that list, I'll bet you could put on the other side of the spreadsheet the term Pizza Factory, and every box would be checked. I'll bet Dixie spirit and Pizza Factory are synonymous in terms of adjectives.
Dennis, you just brought it all full circle right there. That was my sense and my feeling as we started this, that Dixie spirit and the Pizza Factory are one and the same. And I don't mean to overstate that or to exaggerate that, but I think that those of us who have been the beneficiaries of the Pizza Factory for 40 or more years, we know that, we sense that, we feel it. And I just want to say thanks to you guys for creating something so special in our community. You're awesome.
We're human, and we'd make mistakes, and I've made plenty of them. But it's always good to have some other good people around you that can pick you up when you need to get picked up. And whether it's a good wife like I have, or good employees that can pick you up when you need it. Because you're never going to go through life without making some mistakes. And I've made plenty of them. So,
and it's true that you've all been through all of your life experiences through these 40 years as well. And I think of Sam, dear Sam, and some of the losses that she suffered, and coming in to the Pizza Factory soon after those events and sharing love and sympathy and concern. And it's life all through these 46 years. Everybody's life, complicated lives are happening, but we can always come back there for that comfort. And that's what I feel at the Pizza Factory. I just feel comfort.
I also want to say how much I love Bill, which I love him dearly, like he's my second father. But I do want to mention Jan Randall also. because she has been so good to me all these years, and I love her very much as I love Bill Randall. And he's right. If it wasn't for her, the two of them together, the Pizza Factory wouldn't be what it is today.
Dixie spirit equals family. Pizza Factory, check. You know, everything. You check every box.
It's
nice
awesome. I love the Pizza Factory. It's my home.
I wish Sam could have been here.
Because
she could share
she
some great stories.
does.
And you brought up her losing loved ones and family while she worked there. And everybody thinks Sam's just the soft-spoken, sweet. She's a sneak. I remember a time that she brought in a plate of cookies, and of course, like boys will be boys, we just were down in these cookies. She came up to us and said, "How'd you like the cookies?" And we said, "Those are great cookies." "Why?" And she goes, "Because I made them with X-Lax." And she didn't really do that, but she told us that. So every one of us were walking around going, "Oh, I think my stomach's rumbling." All of us were sure that we were going to be sick and have a problem. As she walked out the door that day from work, she goes, "I was just kidding. There wasn't anything in the cookies."
She was like that in high school, too. I would tease her about it all the time at work, that she might be quiet, but she's,
But every time I walked in the Pizza Factory and she was my waitress, she knew what
She knew what you wanted to drink. She knew what you wanted to eat. Exactly.
that's great.
So, we certainly would love to have her here.
It's just so great to have the three of you, and I appreciate you sharing. You've shared your hearts today, and that's really special. It's one thing to talk, but it's another to really open your hearts, and I appreciate that very much. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor. It's been an honor to be here and be in St. George. And we just feel blessed that we've had the longevity that we've had and made a lot of friends along the way. Again, I wish I could say that we've never made a mistake or got somebody's order wrong or fallen short at times. And if and when we have, we just try to dust ourselves off and get up and learn from it and be better the next day.
I think that's the Dixie spirit, isn't it?
Yeah, back to
Check.
Check. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Doc Booth Foundation is dedicated to empowering individuals through educational opportunities and promoting mental health advocacy. Through scholarships and funding for important community needs, the foundation perpetuates the can-do spirit of the founders of this community, using the lessons of the past to chart the course for a better future. Make your tax-deductible donation at docboothfoundation.org. Not Forgotten is produced by Ricky Valadez and made possible by the generous support of St. George Area Zag Stores, industry-leading tech support and accessories. Lyman Hafen's books can be found at lymanhafen.com.
Once I lived in Cottonwood and owned a little farm. When they called me down to Dixie, it caused me much alarm. To hoe the cane and cotton, I right away must go. But the reason why they sent me, I'm sure I do not know. We came to Dixie